Welcome everyone to the Burn City Sports post-game show. We're gonna recap the Suns. I don't know what you would call it. Embarrassing loss? What would you call it, Ron?
What I expected.
Really?
What do you mean by that?
What I've been saying on this podcast for about the last 8 months since the season started is that the Suns' urgency is not there. The last few years, they've been at the top of the West. And this year, I think they focused on the playoffs a little too much, kind of ignored the regular season, kind of ignored some chances to find a groove. Now, as the playoffs came, they couldn't turn it on. They also made a horrible trade, which I said that I was against. Traded away all their depth, all their defense. Jump shots only get you so far in the NBA. And we saw hundreds of bricks, and we saw the result tonight of what everything accumulated to be.
What do you think? I know you said it to us, but what do you think the Suns should change going into next season?
Oh, man. I mean, it's going to take a few years for them to rebuild again. Trade away all your depth for Kevin Durant. Even if you keep Kevin Durant next season, I don't know what you're going to do after that. You're going to have a Booker towards the end of his prime. I think this year was Booker's peak prime. So, I mean, you're going to have to rebuild. If you looked at the lineup that they put on the floor tonight, you're not going to win basketball games with, and no disrespect to these guys, but Payne, Landale, Shamet, these aren't championship winning basketball players. As far as just a group of starting together, one or two here and there coming off the bench, hitting threes. We all saw what Shamet did a couple of nights ago where he lit up the fourth quarter from the three-point line and kind of gave the Suns that victory. But as far as depending on these guys game in and game out, you can't just throw two superstars out there with a bunch of no names and expect them to do something in the playoffs. Luckily, Clippers were hurt, or I do believe that they would have lost in round one to a healthy Clippers team. But as far as moving forward, I don't see an immediate just change one or two things. I think you're really going to have to rebuild this roster from the bottom up. We've all seen Ayton struggle, and he seems to be having friction with the franchise. Chris Paul, I think he's about to retire from the way he was looking on the sideline just now. Kevin Durant, I think he's 52. I'm not sure how old he is. And then, of course, you have a prime Booker. So outside of Booker, I mean, this team really doesn't have anything on paper to build from or on. It's literally going to be a tear it up and rebuild it. Kevin Durant, what do you call it? Kevin Durant experience. This is where it got us.
Okay, what I was going to say was I've seen so many fans on Twitter, on social media saying we need to build a team around Booker. That's what I saw a lot of people saying is they need to regroup. They were kind of mirroring what you said. Give me your thoughts on like what that even looks like. How would you, let's say you being an analyst, how would you go about doing that?
Oh, man. I hate to even say this because it's going right back to where they were a few months ago. Players like Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson, I don't know if you can find another two or three players like that, but they held Booker out on defense more than people realized, taking some pressure off of him having to guard Jamal Murray all night. And then you get on the offensive side, and believe it or not, I mean, they're capable of getting their own shot. They're capable of knocking down open shots. You need some players that could play both sides like that. Elite defenders that can knock down shots, give Booker his space on offense. Players that don't really need the ball in their hands, like. And I'm not trying to. Durant is one of the best players ever touch a basketball. But as far as just building around Booker specifically, you need players that don't need the ball in their hands, let's say 30, 40% of the game. Players that could just catch it, make a two-dribble move, and knock down a shot or get somebody else open. And I think the biggest problem the Suns have, though, is, and I hate to say this, Chris Paul's a Hall of Famer, point guard, as they call him, but he was too old for this Suns team. We saw the pace with Cameron Payne pick up. I think they need to play fast with Booker. Booker's a transition type, kill you with the pull-ups. But all this slow it down, and I don't know. I don't even think Ayton's comfortable slowing it down. If you're going to keep Ayton, I think you need to get him running a little faster where he doesn't have to think so much. He could just kind of catch it and finish or set a pick and rebound. But I think a lot of pressure, this team that was specifically built, I think a lot of pressure was on Ayton to be something he wasn't. And then I think also a lot of pressure was on Chris Paul trying to, I don't know. Chris Paul plays a very smart, slow down pace. I think this team needs to run and gun, especially in this NBA, this era of NBA.
Yeah. Was there anything from this game that was a positive, do you think?
Oh man, crowd came out. I'm sure the city had some fun before the game.
They were pissed during it.
Nah, it was a long drive home, but it was a quick
Yeah.
drive there.
Campaign had a good game.
He really did.
31 points.
What an unfortunate game to have that kind of game. I feel like he was writing his full-time starter resume out there. He was saying, this is my application to start full-time next year. Of course, not of course, but we'll probably get to that about there being maybe a different head coach. But as far as Cameron Payne, he looked incredible. He really did.
Yeah, Cam Payne's an elite talent, and I don't think he's starting level. When you look at the assist to turnover ratio for a starting NBA point guard, he doesn't really fill that box as a flash off the bench 6 guy. I think that's his perfect role. I think how we played with him before the Chris Paul injury was his perfect role. He can come off the bench and maybe have a game like this off the bench, give you some splashes here and there, run the second unit. But as far as even tonight, I'm not sure exactly how many turnovers he had, but I remember seeing at least 2 or 3 off the top of my head, him just losing the ball or making a bad pass. He kind of missed Booker on one pass on a fast break when they were trying to get something rolling in the second quarter. Just timely things like that as a point guard in the NBA. You need to be more efficient, and I love him. I love the guy. I love his heart. I love the way energy he brings. But as far as a starting point guard, I wouldn't want him as my starting point guard if I was starting a team.
I more meant it like it looked like he was out there trying to say, "Hey, please."
Oh,
or,
yeah.
like it's like he was putting in an application. I don't know if he should be a starter either, but there's a very good point that you made.
Yeah, I mean they came out, they looked fine for a little bit, and then just all went bad. I mean, Kevin Durant, I don't know how many times this series he started off slow, but it hurt them like almost every single game, and his turnovers as well. I don't know. He had a really disappointing end to the season.
Yeah, speaking of job applications, real quick, I think he was putting in a bricklaying application this series.
I was going over the stats, and we have a series on Burn City called By the Numbers. It's the one that I run over the stats, just going over the games. And leading into the first 4 games of the series, Kevin Durant was very consistent. He was consistent, wasn't laying too many bricks, but yeah, he saved all the bricks for game 5 for sure, because that was a rough first half. I was watching it with my wife, and even my wife is like, why would he do it? And I'm like, I don't know, babe. I'm not that good at basketball to make decisions like Kevin Durant, but definitely looked like some questionable ones out there.
No, I think he was trying to force it, and he's like I said, my problem with the trade from the beginning was never Kevin Durant. It was what they gave up to get Kevin Durant with the depth, and I mean, pretty much their whole perimeter defense was getting rid of, which they could have used in the playoffs. And this is a weird take that I have. I think, but just to finish what you're talking about with Durant, sometimes the ball goes in, sometimes it doesn't. When you live and die by jump shots, that's what happens. Unfortunately, in the playoffs, you end up playing high intensity minutes, night in, night out, every other night, and eventually the legs just go and the jump shots fall apart. But the biggest problem with the trade for me is you trade away all your defense, all your depth. You trade away 2 of your core guys for an aging superstar that relies on jump shots. I think McCall Bridges and Cam Johnson together could have got you the 30 that Durant gave you this series. However, I think they could have brought a lot more defense to the table, a lot more youth, a lot more running gun. I don't know. I wasn't a fan of this team coming into the playoffs as much as I'm a fan of the Phoenix Suns organization. Just this roster and this team, I didn't think it was built for success. I didn't fall into the hype of Booker and Durant, as great as they are. Both of them probably top 5 players this decade, easily, if you go back 10 years.
What I kind of felt, and you could tell me, I want to hear your opinion on, I want to hear your take on this, right? I feel like Jokic, what it looked like was Jokic really wore down the Suns. It looks like, if you see how they responded to him, game 3, game 4, even game 5, and then game 6, it just looks like it got. I mean, that game 4, I believe it was game 4. No, game 4, he got the 53 points, right? Or was that game 3?
Yeah, it was game 4. Yeah, they lost,
Oh my
but they got the
goodness, game
53.
4, 53 points. The Suns' offense, I feel like their defense was just not ready for what the Nuggets were putting out there all series. It was just their offense that kept him in the game 3 and game 4. But it looked like he was just kind of doing what he wanted. In fact, I think he passed the ball more this game just to give his teammates some more stats, right? But it just looked to me like he was wearing them down. And the way he plays is very aggressive. He's always, man, his paint presence is absolutely unmatched as far as people on the court in that series. And he's just so tall. I didn't know that he was 7 feet tall and 280 pounds. Like, that's a big man to have on the court. It looked like he wore them down out there. And even the answers the Suns tried to put out there to deal with him, those didn't work either.
Yeah, they had a problem. And I hate to call out DeAndre Ayton specifically for literally a 2-time MVP going off, but he kind of just, I don't think he was scared of him, but I think he was scared to bring it to Jokic. If you make him work on his defensive side on offense, tire him down a little bit, and then when Jokic has the ball on offense, it was kind of just like, I'm gonna stand a foot off of him, and I pray to God he don't try to score on me. Where that's when he could easily I literally saw him catch the ball, just look, boom, bounce pass, like no pressure, no like hand in his face, no, let me try and get him off his spots. Let me try to get up in his ribs, get up under him, get him a little. This man with the shades.
Oh, man.
That boy said the Celtics won. I'm wearing the shades tonight.
It's looking so cold it froze the screen.
On 3, anyone? Cancun on 3, anyone? Trophies, anyone? Oh, boy.
Man, I was just talking about how Ayton needed to press up on Jokic, get in his ribs a little more, and maybe try to get him off his spots, make him uncomfortable.
Yeah, I really don't know what. And the only bad part about this game is I don't think people are really going to, people are going to say no Chris Paul, no DeAndre Ayton. Like, that's going to be the little itty bitty scapegoat, but they didn't make a huge difference in the series when healthy to where I feel like they would have mounted what just happened. I mean, Ayton being in there, he may have, made it a little bit harder on Jokic because that was pretty much a playground for him tonight. But I don't see it. Me watching it, I was like, I really don't know if Ayton being in there changes anything. I don't think Paul being in there changes anything. Paul wasn't going to 6 for 6 like Dame did for a minute 3. I mean, maybe, but it just comes down to depth. I mean, that's just how I look at it. I mean, there's a lot of other glaring issues, transition defense, the whole 9, but depth. I mean, they have depth. They've showed game 1 through 6. They have one. And those to you said it when.
Man, his takes are so cold, it's freezing. His takes are so cold, it's freezing the screen.
I know exactly what he's about to say.
Oh, God. Yeah, I mean, people like we didn't give up depth or something like that, but we did. Gave up a lot of depth.
Yeah, to kind of go into what you're saying, the moment that really showed me, like watching the game, there was one specific moment that came out when it just showed me that the Nuggets had a game plan that they were sticking to, and the Suns just looked lost. It feels like they were just playing without a solid plan. They weren't in sync. It's just like Rowan, what you were talking about. It's not a team that's put together. And like what you're saying, there's no depth. Jokic literally stands, both hands on the ball, and just holds it up and does like a 180 both ways, and then just plops it in the rim. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's like he's like a older brother out there. He's playing like an older brother. It's just it looked tough. It looked tough. Like the Suns just really were not a put together team, it looks like, in this series.
Yeah. All the way around, man, they were beat 1 through 5. I mean, there's probably some nights that Booker and Durant had the 2 and 3 won, but 1 through 5 as a collective unit. I mean, it really wasn't any games close in this series, was it? I don't remember one really where it was up for grabs.
No, the the first three were separated, or no, games 1, 2, and 5 were the ones that the Suns lost prior to this one, and those were all losses by a margin of greater than 10. So the Suns always got blown out, kind of at in the Denver field, in the Nugget Stadium. I don't know the name of the Nugget Stadium, but they always got, whenever they went to Denver, they got blown out. This was the uncharacteristic one. This was like, okay, it looks like the Suns didn't have the cardio. They didn't have the heart for it. And look, like Cameron Payne had the heart for it. He was like, I'm here to play. But not everybody had the attitude of Cameron Payne tonight.
No, it's a bad look when Cameron Payne and Landry Shamet have more fire in them than anybody else on your team.
What do you guys think this does for the Booker slander after that he got so much? I don't know if you could call it hate, but I mean, a lot of people talked about his performance last season against the Mavs in Game 7. Tonight, it was not much different if you're looking at the numbers. 4 of 13.
You can't blame a man that's dropped 40 on a regular basis for you.
That's
off night.
Yeah, after he had that.
It goes back to what I was saying. Jump shots do not win games in playoffs, because in the playoffs you play high intensity minutes and you play every other night, and you better bring it. And once them legs go, you better learn how to get to the line or get to the rim. And I ain't gonna lie to you, the only knock I have against Devin Booker, I don't think he's comfortable anywhere inside of 5 feet close to the rim. As soon as he gets to like 5 feet, it looks like he hits a wall, and that fadeaway just bounces, and that's all. And when it's not dropping, it's not dropping. So that's gonna happen, man. Same thing with Durant. Once the legs go, them jump shots stop dropping, but that's all they know. It's almost like that's all they was built to do, is shoot jump shots.
Yeah, I'm not gonna discredit Booker for one game. I'm not. I saw somebody on Twitter saying, and y'all were ready to call him a superstar and all this other. I'm just not even going down that road. I refuse to. I just do. I mean, he's the reason they were even in this series, or both series, against the Clippers and now, so to speak. I mean, Durant had some effective nights, but I refuse to even give that a debate. I mean, nah, Booker was not the problem. Was he a problem for this game? Yeah, but he was due for a subpar game. He just was. The problem is you don't have Ayton, you don't have Chris Paul. You're needing your key addition, who you gave away 2 other starters for, and you don't have it. That's really all it boils down to. Durant was 1 of 8 in the first, I want to say, half. That's just what it boils down to. Like I was saying, people were saying that, the Suns didn't give up depth. Stop saying they gave up depth for Durant. Yeah, they gave up depth just because it's not coming off the bench. You still gave up Cam Johnson and Bridges. Those are 2 main core guys. That is depth. That is what the Nuggets have. They have depth. So if Jokic didn't get it going, they still had a plethora of other options to try to go to. Like y'all was saying, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. That's not a go-to scorer. That's not their second, their third option. That's probably their 4th option on a, okay night. And he clicked on all cylinders tonight. So it just really didn't matter. I refuse to give the whole Booker shouldn't be. No, Booker, like I said a while ago, if not for his groin injury, probably will be a lot closer in people's MVP rankings for the end of the season. So I do not look at Booker this year like last year in the, series against the Mavericks. This is totally different. Totally different.
Yeah. And what we're seeing on the screen right here, I mean, over and over, we're seeing the Nuggets offense just able to work together to get things going. I saw over and over again the collaborations between Jokic and the different players on the team. Just he's creating situations for them to get to the rim in such a seamless way, and the Suns defense is just unable to stop it. I feel like that's the issue. Really, the offense may not have even been that huge of an issue. It was their lack of ability to stop the score from getting run up to a 30-point deficit. And I feel like just to comfort you a little bit, I feel like a lot of people on Twitter aren't basketball analysts. They're not they're not the most educated people on the sport. Man, I saw Stephen A. Smith at halftime saying it's embarrassing, it's horrible, it's terrible. They should give up now. I'm like, dang, Stephen, man, don't say it yet. Let the Suns fans have a minute, man.
I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna say what I just thought of. But Stephen A. Smith, that boy is a clown. I will say that. But at the end of the day, man, what you just said and what Chris just said kind of goes together. The lack of depth. What they trade? Didn't they trade like 3-4 players for Durant on top of the 4-5 picks over the next 5 years? 2 starters and a few bench players. Like they really just literally got rid of their whole.
That's a
I mean,
GameStop trade.
essentially they got rid of Crowder, who wasn't playing, so kind of Nolan Boy. You lose Bridges, you lose Cam, you lose a plethora of picks, so you kind of don't have that in your war set going into the offseason to say, okay, I can maneuver a little bit, get, certain high level players in trades. You kind of lost that leverage. And say what you want, you can be a diehard love, Suns fan. They do not have a lot of attractive pieces on that bench to move in a trade per se. Nobody's lining up to get, any of them. I mean, so to speak, not right away. It just wouldn't make sense. So I think, like I told Franklin on the last show, they'll have their hands in a lot of cookie jars this summer, but I really don't know where you go from here because you gave up so much. And Durant is under contract. Not saying he's horrible or anything, but you still got him locked down for the next 3 years just because he had just re-upped with Brooklyn prior to the trade. So, yeah.
I forgot.
Yeah, what do you guys think is the next move for the Suns? Should they clean house? Should they only fire somebody? Should they fire another person? Should they get rid of Chris Paul, get rid of DeAndre Ayton, get rid of none of them? What do you guys think?
Just Donald Trump it, fire everybody.
I think Paul's about to retire. The look on his face at the end of that game was tears coming. Chris, I touched on this in the beginning of the show. I really don't have a solid answer. Besides Booker, you really don't have any piece that you should be married to. Durant has one more season, like you just mentioned. If you let that play out, I'm sure he's going to leave or retire. He's pretty old. And honestly, I swear to God, I hate to even say stuff like this. I think he's one injury away from being done himself. But you can definitely go ahead and answer what you think. But I think it's going to be a 3-4 year rebuild. And I think all of that is because of the Durant trade. You had a solid 4 people core with Ayton, Bridges, Johnson, and Booker that could have grown together, and you could have moved 1 or 2 pieces this offseason if this run didn't work. But making that move at the trade deadline last minute kind of just put their backs against the wall where it's like, if this don't work over the next 18 months, we're literally screwed until 2031. And that's why I say it's the worst trade in Suns history.
I know when Durant came, everybody said this is the reshape, this is the rebuild. People are going to want to come here now. Phoenix is a place, free agents have always wanted to come, but due to ownership and all of that other stuff, they just didn't bother to come there. Okay, Durant comes, that changes. How far you go in the playoffs, to me, even if you don't win it, it builds value for you going into the offseason of proving to entering free agents or, whomever, like, okay, hey, maybe I want to take less to go play with them, because they're showing they got it. They just need, a couple of more pieces, couple of more tweaks. I'll take a pay cut, go play with the Suns because I got a real shot. You kind of took a blow with that, losing so early when you were projected to at least get, a lot of people had you, as a finals, sure, but at least conference finals.
They were the favorites to win the West. They was even the favorites in this series before it started.
So you take that now, and it's like these upcoming, and there's always this class of free agents that are a little bit older. They'll take a pay cut, stack the team out. That pool just like shrunk for the Suns because if you can't do it, they're looking at Durant, kind of like you said, hope everything is A-okay for him for the rest of his career. But he is getting older. Chris Paul, like you said, probably definitely just played his last game. If not in the NBA, definitely in the Suns uniform. So a lot of free agents are going to be looking at that like, okay, this is what they had, but what are they bringing into next season that I can say I'll take that pay cut or I'll work around, because they don't have a lot of cap space to work with anyway. So you're already limited there. So I don't think there's a clear cut answer as to how they get better. Yeah, everybody's going to say trade Ayton, trade, whoever, but it takes a lot more than that to actually get that to work. So,
Man, you remember I said they should trade Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton for your boy Vucevic and Zach LaVine? That would have been a great trade, man, for this series. To have Vucevic be able to guard your boy Joker, and then Zach LaVine running the point, man, with Booker and Bridges and Johnson.
I pray somehow we get Vucevic this offseason just so you can say that for the rest of next season.
Hey, man, I'll figure it out one day.
One day, yeah. Nah, and I told Franklin on the last show, and it makes even a little more sense now. You look now, yes, if you ask me, if not Cam Johnson, at least having Bridges there, because I know Franklin said even if we had Cam and Bridges, but
that boy,
if you work that out to where you did use Ayton as that sign and trade piece back in the offseason when Durant was first on the market, and you didn't have to trade both Bridges and Johnson, and now you have one of those guys, yeah, it makes a difference. Specifically Bridges, which I don't know if you get away with keeping Bridges, maybe you keep Johnson, but both have a ton of more scoring capability, two-way versatility, to patch in there when Durant has had these consistent nights that he's had. You need that depth, and you did not have it. Did suck. TJ Warren, Terrence Ross didn't really work too effective tonight, but I just think that kind of falls back into Monty's rotations. You just waited so long to even try to make that right, read as far as that goes with certain rotations, and I think it just kind of came back to bite him a little bit. But to your credit, I don't think they should fire Monty. I think Monty just needs to really, really go back to the drawing board. And a lot of that is just going to start with what happens with Chris Paul and everybody else. So,
man, if they fire Monty Williams, I think that's going to send a message to the rest of the league to not ever come to this franchise organization. I mean, this team won 19 games the year before they hired him. This team won 21 games the year before that. This team won 24, 23 games the years before that. 4 seasons, they could not get to 25 wins. You hire Monty Williams. In the last 3 seasons, you've been at the top of the West with a finals appearance and a second round, 2 second-round exits. I would take the finals appearance, 2 second-round exits over having 20 wins any damn day of the week. And those 20-win teams for all you young folks out there. Devin Booker was on that team too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think people forget a lot that Booker was just around for a long time. But to rebut your fact in a sad way with Monty, if you look at the trend right now, honestly, if you ask me, it's only 2 coaches off the top of my head that are safe in the NBA right now. One is Steve Kerr. The other one is Greg Popovich. 2 totally different reasons, but they're the only people saved. Mike Budenholzer just led the Bucks to finals appearance a couple of seasons ago, and he's out the door. So a lot of these teams are panicking. They don't care per se, and it's one-stop shop. I mean, it's shutting it down. So I don't think Monty is safe, but I think he could rebound from this season. But I don't think he's safe going into next season. But I do say on top of that, if Jason Kidd still has his job, then so should Monty. I mean, hey. That a kid has something on the Mavericks that nobody knows. But, I mean, if he still got his job, then, yeah, Monty should definitely still have his job. That's, yeah.
Yeah, I don't see how anybody could blame a head coach. That's literally the only reason y'all winning. That's the only thing that changed when Monty came. And then now, all of a sudden, this season, midway through the season, you trade half your team and your future away and blame Monty? If you think Monty Williams is the problem that this team lost this series, you need to go read some Basketball for Dummies 101 or something.
Do they have one of those?
Oh, man.
If they have those, I'll pick it up just for the sake of it and just make
it's
sure
exclusive.
I know
you gotta go to the back of the library.
For
you
basketball,
gotta knock on the door, give them the password, slide $2 under the table.
For basketball experts, the basketball guide for dummies is just a Twitter guide, right? It's just like how to navigate Twitter. That's
Hey, you listen to Twitter long enough, man, you're gonna be right there with them.
It turned into a callous person. Sorry, hating basketball. It turned into a freaking Golden State Warriors fan.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Thorough domination in the first 24 minutes, a 30-point lead for the Nuggets on the road as the Suns are rapidly setting in the West. Jalen Rose, I'm Mike Greenberg. Here's Stephen A. What do we say about Kevin Durant and the Phoenix Suns?
Well, what I will tell you, depending on what region that you're in the country, if you're in New York City, it's probably the Honeymooners. If you're someplace else, it's a comedy show. The Phoenix Suns might as well forfeit this game and just go home and watch it and tell everybody to do the same. That's the most entertainment they're going to get in that arena tonight. This is over. It's embarrassing. I forgot DeAndre Ayton was going to be injured, but the bottom line is, wouldn't have made much of a difference. Props to you. An absolutely pathetic, awful performance. They're outclassed. They're outmanned. They're out physical. They're out game plan. They just don't have anything going for them right now. And all we could do, looking at this Phoenix Suns, the second consecutive time, last year in the closeout game, they were down 30 to Dallas at the half. Today, they're about to go home for the season, down 30 at the half, both times on their home court. It's bad, man. And I mean, listen, they just going to have changes next season. In this.
Yeah, you see how the guy in the blue suit was like leaning back? Man, Steven, that was just rude, man. My wife was like, man, he's mean. She doesn't watch basketball as much, but you know, this is a mean old man. What do you guys have to say about that?
I mean, he's got a point. I mean, that's, you know, Stephen A. gets criticized a lot for people call him a casual. He doesn't watch the game, and I agree sometimes. But I mean, for this game, where it's one of the games where he's actually, you know, part of the viewing world, he's not wrong. I mean, there was nothing left to watch after that first half. Granted, the Suns did outscore Denver 25-22 in the third quarter, but even at that point, like a lot of people saying, 30-point lead at halftime, a 3-point difference doesn't even begin to put a dent in what they did in that first half. So I pretty much knew it was over after that. I mean, no, it wasn't as bad of a score because people keep comparing it to the Game 7 blowout against Dallas last year. Wasn't that bad, but you pretty much still knew it was over. Like they were not about to come back from that. No way.
Man, I cannot believe everybody think Monty Williams should be fired. My bad. I just saw somebody
you went into the Twitter realm for a second.
Yeah, it's bananas, man. And real quick, man, Jake, I give you my whole next month check if you could tell me who the dude in the blue suit's name is.
Oh man, it's got to be
legend, bro. You can't just call him the dude in the blue suit.
Well, okay, don't put the on the screen back there, man. I'm new to the family.
That is
his last name is Halftime and his first name is Toyota. They put his name on the screen. You didn't see that?
That is the legend of Fab Five Michigan, Fab Five Jalen Rose.
Hey, listen, hey man, listen, I'm sorry.
Now, if you watch there's a documentary on the Fab Five. If you watch that, you will instantly become a fan. I'm telling you.
Okay.
Him and all the other Chris Webber, all of them, but nah,
it's the fact that Rowan waited. He waited to be like, hey, wait, he didn't know who that guy's name was. I'm about to roast him live.
I was waiting for Chris to stop talking. I was like, did he just say the man in the blue suit? Like, it's just some regular dude? Like,
technically, you're the man. Hey, listen, you're the man in the green jacket.
NBA Finals participant. Like,
you're the bearded man in the green jacket. Like, I could, if I said, hey, man, this glasses wielding bearded man in the green jacket doesn't mean I don't know what your name is. Your name is Rowan, but you went ahead and you called me on it.
Yeah, right, that's my ex.
Yeah, no, that's rude. I feel get any more questions for us?
Man, how do you guys think that Kevin Durant feels after this?
Ooh.
Like, what do you? I mean, it's a roadblock. I mean, the best way you had it, and people are gonna tarnish him for this. There's no way around it. The best time of your life was in Golden State when you had two perennial shooters around you, just a stacked roster. You go to, Brooklyn, you can't make it work with Kyrie, say what you want, or Harden. It was just, that was the worst, weirdest tenure I've seen ever. But when you come here and you're a huge reason to the loss, it's not like, Durant was dropping 30, 40 points and we just couldn't. No, without your slow starts and lapses in judgment and, making it can Durant not get the ball knocked out his hand challenge, then maybe we're talking about something different right now, but we're not. He had 4 turnovers. They were really bad as far as owning possession of the ball, like keeping possession, or Payne had 4 as well. But once again, it's one of those things where I'm not going to knock him that much when you're 7 and 9 from 3. And you're one of the sole reasons we're even in the game. So if I'm Durant, I'm looking at it like, this is the team I wanted to come to. I should have no complaints. I think that's how you sum that up. That this was his number 1 team on his list that he wanted to be in. They got you here. It was either here or the Heat, and you probably are looking right now. That's maybe the only thing that he's thinking is maybe I should have pushed more to get to the Heat. Maybe. But you're here. So, and this is where you wanted to be. They didn't ship you off to the Pistons or the Hornets or some, crazy place. Like, you're where you wanted to be. So you just got to own that. Literally, for now, going into next season, even into the postseason of next season, you have to own that. I mean, you're in prove-it mode now. Believe it or not, you are.
Yeah, the look on his face, it felt like he just said, damn. That's all I can say. That's all it looked like from the third quarter or fourth quarter. Even right now, he's on my TV doing the press conference. He just looks like, damn.
Hey, that looks that's what's his quote? More reps to that. Just keep building with each other. Kevin Durant said the season's end is embarrassing, but he enjoyed playing with these new teammates from Monty Williams for the organization. Now it's about how they regroup and move forward. Man, you called it. But yeah, no. Yeah, I think, Rowan, that's about what I feel like he'd probably be saying right now at this point too. I mean, after a long, hard day of laying bricks, it's like, damn, you're just tired. And it was a tiring effort, and like I said, I think that they just looked fatigued out there. I don't think they had the heart for it. I think the Nuggets really wanted it, and you could tell they really wanted it, and so they were playing like they wanted it. But yeah, no, that's
What was wrong with DeAndre Ayton? I never got a.
He got elbowed in the ribs.
Yeah, he got elbowed.
A rib contusion.
So, yeah, rib contusion is the on paper call for it. So he'll probably get criticized for that too, not being tough enough to play through it. I mean, and that's only because his intensity has been called to question forever. So they're just going to add that on to it, that he sat out in an elimination game. This is bad. They really lost. This is bad. I don't even know what else they. But
yeah.
They really
like just
lost.
hitting
I
you.
did not, and if you listen, like last show, I did not pick them to lose this game. I did not, and I even said they could go back to Denver and win. But
I thought it was gonna push it to 7 for sure.
Yeah,
I would have.
And credit to Michael Malone. I know we're talking about Monty a lot, but credit to Michael Malone. Michael Malone is he's a player's coach. He literally, they had a 30-point lead. They get it down to. Suns get it down to like, I don't know, I think it was like 22 or something like that. He calls a timeout and he's getting into them like they're down by 22. He just kept that same, you need to treat it like what it is. Don't let them back in this. And he's made adjustments. Booker was bringing the ball up the court pretty slow for the first couple of games. He adjusted that in game 5. As far as them working that full court defense versus letting Booker get into his sets, like I give him credit. He adjusted. I mean, and that's what it's about. So that's the two things I keep hearing people saying is lack of adjustments, lack of depth. I mean, if you can't do one or the other, you're out of it.
One of the exact
hard to make adjustments without depth.
Yeah, one of the exact things I heard Mike Malone say in the huddle was put this away, take it home, stop messing around, take it home. And I was like, dang, like, man, you're up by 30. Like if they make a comeback.
He did not, yeah.
He was not messing around. He's like, no, I don't want no more of this. I'm done with the Suns. Take it home.
Now I think in game 1 or game 2, they put the camera in the thing, and this stuck out to me because he was talking about winning. We got to finish this game. We got to win it. And I'm not talking about the Suns. I'm talking about a championship. And when he said that, I was like, oh, they winning this series, bro.
Yeah, I remember that, and they were thinking he's thinking so big of. It was almost like they didn't even see the Suns. The Suns were just right there. We just got to move past y'all to get to where we're actually. And they're going to treat it like that for the Warriors or the Lakers, whoever comes out of that. Like, I really feel like they're going to go to the finals this year. You pretty much knocked out a lot of heavy competition, or a lot of heavy competition is out. You know, if you get the Lakers, I don't know.
Man, if they win a championship, they'll be the worst regular season defense in the history of the NBA to win a championship.
That's crazy.
As soon as the Bucks lost in round one, whoever won this championship is going to have something about that about them. And that's their thing, is the worst defense in the regular season.
And the irony in that is the Suns' defense. I mean, you know, that's the irony in it. From game one, transition defense, horrible. And, you know, tonight, like I said, Ayton, you either love him or you hate him. But does he have a presence a little bit? Yes. Would he have been able to give Jokic a little bit of a fight? Yeah. But, I mean, Jokic was pretty much just walking in there tonight. Like, he was getting whatever he wanted to. So it was bad. And, I mean, Murray didn't have, like, a crazy night, but everybody has this play in their head when they know the game is over. When Murray hit that sidestep mid-range on Booker, I was like, this is done. I am done. No. I can finish right early tonight because this thing is cooked.
So I just saw a report that Devin Booker did not speak to the media after KD had
very Dylan Brooks-esque.
I feel like that's not very graceful.
Yeah.
Like I get that you're upset, but I feel like it's graceful because Kevin Durant talked to the media, right? And he had objectively a much worse game than Devin Booker did.
Absolutely.
It's unfortunate. I think that as an athlete, especially as a multi-millionaire athlete, having a little bit more of grace with the media, especially, you know, I mean, the Nuggets were so confident in this series. It wasn't Jokic making jokes like, "Hey, I think the Suns are just going to hand us the series. They're just going to hand us the game."
He was like that the whole. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, he's a confident man. Like, he's almost like a brash person. He's very confident that he was just going to walk all over the Suns. And you know what, man? That guy kind of did. Like, it's like like Conor McGregor, how he like says he's going to do something, then he does it, and then you're like, oh gosh, like I wish he wouldn't have done it like how he said he was going to do it. Jokic literally said they're going to give us the series. And then in that game 6, it kind of like, I mean, they did everything short of just taking it from them like a kid. You know, that was 30-point spread the whole game.
Now, I said as soon as they go up by 7, and this was in the first quarter, I told my homie on text, as soon as they go up by 15, Suns going to shut it down, bro.
What's going through you guys at that point where this gets getting out of hand and the lead is stretching?
Look, that face right there.
Yeah, it sucked. It was bad feeling. It was embarrassing. They came out and hit us in the mouth. We couldn't recover. You know, you got to give them credit for being a disciplined team.
That's a good word. I think that's a really good word Durant used there. It was a disciplined team, sticking true to things. Like, I don't think Kevin Durant played very disciplined. I think he went for a lot of things you should not be going for, and that caused a lot of turnovers too. What do you think?
That's his game, though, man. He's arguably the second greatest player since 2005 to touch the NBA court. That's what he's been doing since 2005 in high school and college, and then his transition to the NBA. He's never had to change up his game because of his length. He can just rise up and shoot over anybody. His problem has always been those little guys that get under him, and we saw it happen against the Clippers. He had 7 turnovers in game 1 of that series, and we saw it happen in this series, especially tonight. They put little guys on him, and it's hard to get the ball from the ground to your jump shot when the little guy's sitting there playing with it. So, man, that's his game, though. I don't think it was bad decisions as much as it was just it was tough for him to get shots off, and the shots wasn't falling. I think all of those shots could have fallen for him, and he could have dropped 50 tonight, and who knows what would have happened. But the fact of the matter is he went 2 for 18. I don't even know. He was like 2 for 11 last I checked.
I think a lot of people forget just because of the season coming in, and it's not to harp, but last postseason, when he was with the Nets, a lot of people felt like he got exposed. A lot of people felt like he got figured out. They felt like the Celtics figured out the right defensive schemes to throw at him that would make him not nullified, but just far less effective. And that's pretty much what, you see it happen. You got Caldwell Pope, who's not a phenomenal defender. He's a pretty decent one, but he's making it tough for him, causing them to turn over the ball. And I mean, that was pretty much anybody that had that opportunity, kind of like Rowan was saying. That's been his game, the way that he facilitates the ball, the way he moves the ball into working it into his jump shot. That's just been how he's played. But I think the older he's gotten, that's just what comes with time. You give people more time to figure you out. And I think Michael Malone knew what he was going against with him, particularly. If I can shut him down and I can run Booker into the ground from shutting Durant down, it's a win-win. Give me Ayton in or Ayton out, Paul in and Paul out. If I can shut Durant down, they're right back to being the same old Suns again before Durant, which means everything's on Booker. And that's what happened.
The other thing about Durant, this series specifically, because the lack of, like we've been saying, the lack of depth and the lack of size on the Suns. There was a lot of times, a lot more than I'm used to seeing. Kevin Durant was getting bodied down low by Jokic and getting beat up on the other end and trying to get rebounds and all that stuff. If you're not used to that stuff, 82 games a season, it's going to throw you off to a couple games that it happens. And I think that happened to him a lot, man. He was overmatched on the defensive end trying to help on Jokic, and he comes on the other end and they got a little guy just at his knees, just clawing away at the ball. And to speak, Devin Booker not talking to the
obviously before the series started. Is there any different level of respect or anything about his game that changes once you compete for a series?
Nah. I always had respect. I always knew how great he was. Always watching these guys, you know what I'm saying? All the great players in the league. Not surprised that these guys are good, especially somebody like Jokic. I've been watching him, playing against him for a minute now, since he hit his peak as a player. So, no, I wouldn't say I learned anything new. Great team, deep team, multiple guys that play well together, great continuity. Been together for how long Mike Malone been there? 6 years. That's a good advantage to have. When you know your coach, you know the players on the team, you got a system in place for that long. So,
yeah. I don't know. Booker should have spoke though, man. It always looks bad on the player. I think even him, I think he's gonna go home and regret that. Just not speaking to the media tonight. It's not a good look. No matter, even if you come out there and say one word answers and get the heck on, but.
Yeah. I was just looking at some stats that I thought were interesting from the Phoenix Suns role players today. First of all, Kogi got a DMP tonight. Busy was minus 26 in 8 minutes. And Jock was actually plus 7 in 31 minutes, 13 points. Obviously, Campaign had an amazing game, 31 points. Terrence Ross, 0 of 5, 0 of 4 from 3, minus 27 in 9 minutes. What do you guys think that they should do with their depth?
Major adjustments. Major adjustments. Kind of like we said against the Clippers coming into this series. You can love certain players, but that doesn't mean they're the best for the team. And that's just honestly what it boils down to.
Here, I got the payroll up here.
Very good point.
Oh my!
I think Brandon was actually the one who's been so hard on that Landry Shamet guy's number right there. I mean, it's and Shamet has done. He kind of stepped up the past few games, but some of those lower end guys, you just got to look at Josh Okogie. He's not bad, but do you bring him back? He's gonna want more than what he proved that he's worth more than 1.8 million. But do you bring him back for whatever he's asking you for? Probably not. It just depends. So there's a lot of questionable places there. Darius Baisley, we literally got to see for 2 seconds of his time after getting traded here. So I doubt they move to bring him back. There's just a lot there that still has to be, looked at. I may bring back Damian Lee for sure out of that whole bunch, aside with, maybe a Kogi, maybe Craig, and it just depends on what they want. But, there's so much to work with there. A lot of dead weight, a lot of expiring contracts. But once again, it's who can you bring in their place that's going to make you better. I think that's the real challenge is, does this person make me better than a Kogi, a Craig, or any of those guys?
Man, if you look at this, the two things that stand out to me is the ages. Only a few cats are in prime basketball age. You old once you hit 28 in the NBA. Another thing is once you get past Chris Paul's name, not one player on this list would you pick up to put on your team. And just be honest.
Maybe, and I mean maybe, and it just depends on the situation at hand. I probably would pick up Payne, but that's situational. It just all depends on what's out there. But aside from that, would I be fine with? And a lot of people have said that if it's not Booker or Durant, everybody else is up for grabs at this point. So there's not one untouchable player aside from them on this roster. I mean, there's not. So interesting to see. And like I said, even with Durant, like I said, he just signed back. So you got him locked in until 2026, 54 mil. That's when you get into that year, that's probably going to hurt more than it helped. And it just depends on what happens in these next 2 seasons. But you may be in that same position, kind of like you're in with Chris Paul right now, where it was like paying him a good little bit of money, probably not equaling up to what, but you paid to help shift the culture and bring in CP in. But man,
so they got Durant locked up for 3 more seasons.
Yeah, so he signed a 4-year deal with the Nets in the offseason. So when they got him with that in mind of, okay, we got him for 4 seasons. It's not a rental. Like he's not on a rental. Like dude is literally locked in. So
I thought it was like an 18-month thing. Like he had this season and next season.
And with that, I kind of lean more to you, Ron, with the Durant thing, because honestly, looking at it longevity-wise, the only thing I like that I see on here is having Booker locked up until 2028. I mean, I'd love that. If I'm a GM and I know I've still got him, aside if he did decide to request a trade out of the blue, but anything else is kind of like we got to look at it for the long haul.
Damn, man, this team just I can't tell y'all how much, and I'm gonna be wrong until I'm right. This Kevin Durant trade really pushed his team back 10 years, bro.
10?
We gave up the next 5 years of picks. By the time, Booker ain't gonna. How long can Booker play? You give Booker another 8, 9, 10 years. I don't know, man. I don't see the Suns even being a playoff team the rest of this decade.
I don't know.
That's a bold take.
The salary cap projected for next year is $134 million. So they're already $30 million over that with just however many players, 6 players. It's Chris Paul.
So you're gonna try and piece together and glue together some low budget cheap players to put on the side of them and hope they give you max effort.
Well, that's why I said they only have like their mid-level exception to work with, honestly, when it comes to like being able to sign free agents. So at that point, you're automatically out of the, fireworks of bringing somebody else in. You're out of that. Your best bet is to get somebody that is willing to take a pay cut that is of high level that will come play with Booker and Durant and say, you know what, it's worth it. And did you show that it was worth it? That's the thing. We go back to Series 1 against the Clippers, which, once again, Ron, dude, I don't know. Maybe you talk to the stars before the season starts. But you said with Kawhi and Paul George, that series may have went a totally different way. Without just Kawhi, they still gave them a hard time with George, and then without George, I mean, they may have not made it out the first round. I mean, they just may not have. So don't think that the players that are a high level, that are on a piss poor team already at home, aren't looking at these things as y'all are advancing. Like, okay, they made it through the Clippers, but did they really make it through the Clippers, or did they make it through a bunch of role players surrounded by Westbrook, which is essentially what happened. Westbrook turned into a, vintage MVP, and they literally looked like they could give the Suns a good, put up. So I don't know what they do this offseason. I'm more confused about this offseason than I was last offseason. At least last offseason, you had stuff to work with.
You had a core.
You had this treasure trove of draft picks and a core and movable pieces. Now that's out the window. You have one person for that. So
and you have no first round draft picks till 2031.
All right, we got a video of Monty coming in.
I don't know. It's
my dog.
There's so many variables in a season like this, but they all seem like excuses. You know what I'm saying? I'm just not into that. I look at myself first before anybody else, and you could point to all kinds of things, and I don't want to list them because that's just not. I don't think it's the right thing to do. I think you have to look at yourself, and that's what I'm doing right now, is looking at the things I can do better to help us on days like this and progress better during the season, so we're ready for days like this. So there's a lot of things that happened this year, from injuries to trades, and a lot of external things that could have been a distraction, and the guys just hung in there all year long. And I applaud the guys for that. We had a number of distractions this year, and they just stayed the course, and we just couldn't get it done today.
Last three.
That's my coach, man. I'm finna turn the TO up here crying. That's my coach, man.
That's a good response. That is the proper response, I believe.
Brendan, how you feel about Monty Williams, man? You think he should get out of here? You think they should give him the boot?
I don't know. Just watching the Suns the past 3 seasons. How long has he been coach? 3 years now? The way that they've gone up and down, it's hard to say. But the way they've ended these past 2 seasons, I don't know. I think you have to just because of that. I really love Monty Williams. I love his story. I love everything that he's done in the past and everything that happened with his wife. His kid was so tragic. But it's just so hard to say because I think Matt Ishbia has a clear vision of this team. He's done so much already of what he wants to do. I mean, his first day in office, he trades for Kevin Durant. He wants to win now. He got that TV deal that's up in the air now, but it's just I don't know. I think they're giving Matt Ishbia a lot of power right now because he wants to win. I mean, that's the only thing on his mind. So I don't know. I love Monty Williams, but there's too many question marks, I think. I just think he has to go with all the question marks they have.
So do you like the Kevin Durant trade? It's nothing personal. It's opinions, man. We don't know nothing.
I thought it was championship or bust this season. But, I mean, not after – I don't know. It's just so hard to say because their team's going to look completely different next year. Like, I don't think they were going to win anything with their current team. They clearly thought that, and I don't know. I didn't like the timing of the trade, I have to say. I thought they were just starting to find their groove, get everyone back healthy. But
I agree with that.
It's just so hard to say right now. I mean, it's easy to say right now that you don't like it because they just lost in the second round after trading away their whole future for him. But he's still under contract 3 more years. They just have so many moving parts around them that it's literally just Booker and KD are the only stable things on the team right now. And if you would have had Mikal and Cam, it would have been Booker, McHale, and Cam, I think, unless DA would have somehow stepped up in that situation. So I don't
that's a
know
good
what
point.
situation's better.
No, that's a good point, man. That is a great point.
Listen, the only coach ever since Mark Jackson was blackballed from the NBA, I'm saying that is what it is. I have never trusted a coach's safety net when it comes to being a coach. It's never going to happen. Never going to happen. So, once again, do I want Monty gone? No. Do I think he will be gone? Yeah. Just because of how it works. And once Durant got traded, once it broke and we got on here and we were talking, like I said, everybody's yeah, we got Durant. And I was like, yeah, we got Durant. But hey, guys, back here, look, we lost Bridges and Johnson. They're, oh, who cares? We got Durant. Oh, okay, we'll see. And you needed them. Bridges went to the Nets and looked like Durant. I mean, need I say more? I mean,
both of those young players was coming into their own, man. And I will just put it on record that I was on this podcast the day of the trade saying how horrible of a trade it was. That's why they started calling me Hot Take Jake, because I went crazy that day, bro. I thought the Suns threw away their whole franchise for the next decade, and I still think that.
Rowan was not pleased. He said this was a organization failing move, just completely inside and out. Turmoil.
It's like the owner, he comes in his first day, he wants to make a splash, wants to make headlines, wants to get the hype meter as high as he can get it. It's like when your girlfriend mad at you, you take your bill money, take her out to eat, and then everything's all good. And then 2 weeks later, when you ain't got your bill money, she twice as mad as she was. That's how I feel Sun fans are right now. We just lost. We were supposed to be championship or bust, and now we're looking at a roster full of what? You spent the bill money on Chipotle? That's how I feel.
Man, the way that you're framing this is outlandish, but it makes total sense. It's bugging me out right now. It just makes I've been in that situation, and I'm just like, damn, he's speaking to my soul right now.
They should have just, don't take it to Chipotle, bro. Let her be mad in the back. Let Cam and McHale grow up. Let the core just come together in jail. Let Booker come back from his injury, and let's see where we at in 2 weeks, bro. But it was a big move for a little.
Playing for Coach Monty, playing for the staff. So just more reps. That's all. More reps to that. We continue to keep building with one another. We need to understand each other on a different level, individually and as basketball players. And I think that'll come. So we'll see what happens. Definitely frustrating and disappointing and embarrassing to lose. But losses happen. And it's about how you can get up and keep pushing and figuring out ways to become better. So that's really what the mantra is: just keep adjusting and seeing how we can come back better.
I got a question for anybody that wants to answer it. With Devin Booker not speaking to the media, even after his decade-long faithfulness to the Phoenicians, y'all think Kevin Durant just took over the face of the franchise moving forward?
No.
Nah.
No way.
No, not necessarily. It definitely looks bad.
You can't take over the face of the franchise after they just lost in the second round in his first year.
Absolutely.
He answering all the questions for him.
Yeah, here's my opinion.
Probably because he knew he was going to be a heavy subject of criticism, I think. But, and to add to that, back to your other point with Durant, I think what a lot of people forget, and it's just because of the mystique of Durant, the mystique of LeBron. I mean, all of them. Durant is 34. He'll be 35 before the next season even starts. It slows down at some point. Everything does. You add in his injury history, just to have banked so much on that, to mortgage so much on that, even if you're not looking at Bridges and Johnson, the draft picks, like you gave up both flexibility and picks. That doesn't leave a pretty big door for you. It just doesn't. So I really don't know where to go from here. If you ask me brutally, and it could be a hot take, but we've had hotter takes, I think they're heading in the same direction with Durant as they were with Paul. He's going to get older. He's not going to give you the same usage that you're used to. He eventually becomes dead weight. Still Booker's running mate, as Paul was for a good little bit, but dead weight nonetheless. Like, he's still going to be dead weight. I just think that's where it goes from here. At least it's just not feasible. This was a do or die season, if you ask me. I mean, in and out. I know Franklin was saying even if they lose this season, it's not. And I'm like, nah, West is way too stacked. There are teams that didn't make the playoffs that were initially for sure playoff bound. So, nah, I don't know.
I know this is really the craziest take y'all ever gonna hear me say. And then I know Jake, you was about to say something, but I felt like going into this night, this is the biggest game for this franchise. Backs was against the wall. You went to the finals 2 years ago. That core got broken up. You brought Kevin Durant in. The last few seasons, you've been building for a championship. And with the added pressure of Chris Paul being there, always talking about don't nobody want to win more than me. And then you never won a championship as a franchise. I really do feel like going into tonight, this was the biggest cliff of the franchise. And everything that goes up must come down.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
That's mirroring.
I was just gonna say, yeah.
That's been a thing. People, that's trending right now. You got people in the chat saying it deserves to be fired 3 years in a row and choked again. Yeah, you know, like that's it's tough. I can't imagine like being an NBA player. That's one thing, but being an NBA coach and having to deal with the backlash of like, man, they're out there playing, like you're leading best you can, but at the end of the day, shots just don't go in sometimes. But Rowan, that is a hot take. The most important game in an entire franchise. That is a bold statement.
I could be wrong, but it just felt like it today going into the night. It was like, man, because the energy was, we gonna push this to 7. Like nobody had a doubt, and even myself, I thought it was gonna push it to 7. But I had a feeling like this might be the biggest game in the history of the Suns franchise, win or lose.
Mm-hmm.
What grade would you guys give the Suns? I would say I felt like this team was only this team after February. Like they are not the same after February. So I feel like it's hard to grade I don't know how many regular season games that was. And then there's playoffs. I feel like you can only really grade the playoffs because that was the only meaningful games they really played together. I'd give it a C because they got Kevin Durant. But I don't know where the direction the team goes after this.
Are you asking us to grade the performance of the Suns? Or are you asking us to grade the Suns as a team?
Grade the season of the Suns.
Oh, the season. Okay. I kind of lean with you in that. Then I'll say a C. I'll say a C plus, and just for like you said, the addition of Durant. But I can also say even after Durant, the happiest I was watching them was when everybody was healthy pre-Durant. When Cam Johnson came back, when everybody was on the floor, I was excited because I'm like, this team can actually, if they do something at the trade deadline, which didn't have to be Durant, it could have been adding pieces to the bench, more pieces, they can make some noise. But then comes the playoffs, and if I'm grading that's what gets you right down to the C, just because that was horrible. Like I said, you probably may have not even made it out of first round against the Clippers if you had at least Kawhi stay healthy, not even Paul George be healthy, just Kawhi stay healthy. We may not be having the same, or it at least would have went to Game 7. So that would have made people start doubting it right then and there. But
what about you, Ron?
Oh man, I'm gonna be honest, bro. I hate to do this to him. What Chris just said is absolutely right, man. They got everybody healthy late January, early February. I got so excited. I went and put some money down on the Suns to win the West. I was geeked up. I was having a blast. Suns, baby. I wrote an article. This is the time to put your money down on the Suns. Booker's gonna come back next week and be healthy. They're gonna get it rolling after the All-Star break. They traded for Kevin Durant. I cashed out all my bets that night. Was definitely not finna ride this team into the Western Conference playoffs. Because of the trade alone, I'm telling you, worst trade in franchise history. And there's no disrespect to Kevin Durant, one of the greatest players to ever play the game. Just the timing and what we gave up for him. Horrible trade. This season gets an F. A new owner, Michigan State alumni, Matt Ishabel, under Tom Izzo. I watched that kid sit on the bench for Michigan State for 4 years. Horrible trade, man. Horrible trade. Team gets an F on the season. Front office gets an F on the season. GM, F on the season. You should have got rid of Ayton before the season even started. This season was doomed from the beginning, and it still had a chance until the trade deadline.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie. I'm gonna keep my take on. Y'all wasn't really here, bro. I didn't think the Suns were gonna make the playoffs, bro. Like, that's what I'm saying. They traded for Kevin Durant.
Just
I thought they
reacting,
was
man.
gonna miss the playoffs.
Dude, man. I was
It
telling.
was in
I was
12th
telling.
place though. Also, when they traded for Durant, so
Yeah,
I was like,
that's
they not.
They couldn't, with the whole server thing, they really couldn't make any trades until like a few days before the trade deadline. That's how it all worked out. Like, looking back, they should have done something like how the Clippers done, like how they reinforced all their depths. Got Eric Gordon, got Plumlee, got can't remember off the top of my head, but they reinforced their depth. And I mean, looking back, that's the obvious thing that the Suns should have done.
Yeah, they had a solid starting five, man. They just needed a bench, and instead they traded their starters for, I don't know, man. We've been talking about it for an hour, bro. I've been repeating myself. Kevin Durant trade, F on the season. This is exactly what I thought was gonna happen. Jump shots go cold in the playoffs, and you end up losing, bro. That's what happens. And now they're trying to blame it on my man Monty.
Yeah,
So all Monty
crazy.
did was take a 20-win season team for 4 years straight and turn them into a 50-win team, 60-win team.
Yeah, and I mean, you
This
look at
is
that
just
blue
hard to see as
to a
a
lead. Yeah.
This is just hard to see as an Arizona sports fan for any Arizona sports.
I mean, yeah, I'm not saying it's amazing, but for those 3 seasons, would you rather have the 4 19, 21, 24, and 23 win seasons? So where you don't even care about basketball right now. You ain't think about the Suns for 2 months right now if Monty Williams ain't the coach. You gave up on them around Christmas. You don't even have the excitement to be disappointed without Monty Williams as your coach.
I'll tell you
That's
what,
a
man.
good point. That's really, and that might go over a lot of people's head. That's a good point. That you said a lot without saying a lot right there. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
you
what I said.
can't
I
even-
don't, yeah.
you can't even get excited enough to be disappointed. If there's the Phoenix Suns in a statement, that is like, hey, it's a wrap.
That should be Monty's walk off, like when he did his press conference, like, and they're like, "Oh, what about your, potential future?" And look, without me, there wouldn't be no excitement here. All right, let's get one thing straight now. I was here before the Chris Pauls, and I'm gonna be here after the Durants.
He is the ultimate mood killer, but he creates the mood. He's the only coach that can create the mood to kill. That's it.
When y'all hired this Monty Williams, y'all was 19-63 the season before that. I looked at one of my coworkers in Tempe, Arizona, of University in Rio Salado, off the 101, and I said, "Suns making the playoffs next year." They didn't, but the year after that, they went to the finals. That's all I'm gonna say. The year after that, they went to the finals. The year after that, they first placed the whole season, and then this year we see what happens.
Missing the playoffs, it was made up for by going to the finals next year. So all was forgiven.
But y'all remember that bubble run though? That was the next season, 2020. Suns ended up going 8-0, 9-0 in the bubble or something like that.
Yeah, they've had some good stretches, man. That's the thing. It's just not even like everybody. What's the offseason moves? What are they gonna?
We got a comment.
That is a good question, and I liked Washington, Adam. I really did. I love Dwayne Washington. But at that point, it essentially became a battle between him and looking at it in hindsight, but it was between him and Ish Wainwright. They both played 2 different positions. But as far as that end of roster space, it was going to be Wainwright or it was going to be Washington. They felt Wainwright was a more defensive need that could stretch the floor with his 3-point shooting. But no, I was definitely a fan of Washington, especially when Chris Paul was out and they needed all that help, and Shamet was going through one of his many concussions or whatever he had going on. Like Dwayne Washington, like stepped in. I'm like, yo, this dude can play. And then it kind of came down to Saban Lee and him too, and Lee kind of showed them up in their last regular season where they both were available, and I think the Suns just elected to keep Lee on the roster. But no, I think Dwayne definitely has a pretty good future on somebody's team as a backup guard. Like he can light it up and he can distribute for his size and everything. Like he's a pretty good guard to have. So that was somebody I was like, yeah, y'all probably should have kept him too. Give you a little scoring burst off the bench. But yeah.
Yeah, and Saban Lee too. I thought Saban Lee filled that third point guard role really well too. I thought they were both. I know Saban was on a two-way and Dwayne was signed, but they both could have been useful. We were talking about that. We were talking about that before in the spaces. They both could have been big.
And Lee was on a two-way, so yeah. With Lee on his two-way, he couldn't play, but you really could have used him, especially when Cam was out for that little bit. Like you really could have used Lee a lot. I mean, but live and learn. Live and learn.
Who do you think that the Suns? I'll go back to this payroll. Let me see if I can see. Who do you think that they should trade based on this? I think there's two names that stand out.
What are they? Tell us your picks.
Suns need to get rid of CP and Ayton and get good trades for the team. Yeah,
that's why I said they should have traded at the deadline.
Chris Paul I think he retires, like you guys said. And Landry Shamet and Ayton are the two glaring ones that are under contract till 2025, 26. So I think that those two are the biggest ones for sure.
Ayton is your best chance of freeing up anything of reasonable amount. He's 32 mil next year. That's your most reasonable chance. If you want to free up and you want to attach some of these other players to it, if you want to get rid of them, via sign-in trade or something like that, with another player, from another team, that's probably your best bet because, like Rowan pointed out, from the Chris Paul down, there's not a play on here that another team is about to move heaven and earth for without getting some type of draft compensation, especially since most of these players are expiring contracts, so they're going to hit free agency anyway. So if not Shamet, I don't really see the Suns doing too much with Cameron Payne. So it's kind of hard to say. But the Suns should start a team with guys that don't play right now. The sad fact is, and DeMarcus Cousins was kind of blackballed to me. Honestly, DeMarcus Cousins probably could have made he could have made a lot of movement for the Suns this postseason. A lot of movement. After seeing, and I love Biz Mac, but watching him get bullied and thrown around with Jokic, that probably wouldn't have happened with Cousins. So
not at all. They just put on the screen Nikola Jokic, 300 points, 100 rebounds, 100 assists so far in the playoffs.
He's on the
First thing I thought was 200 of them was on DeAndre Ayton. On his head.
He's on a mission, man. He's on a legit mission. It's you can see it in his eyes. Like I say, he's been joking a little bit, but they know what they got to do. He got a healthy Jamal Murray with him now. Like they know what they got to do. Their time probably right now is as good as it gets. They're fully healthy. Strike while the iron's out. You just got to do what you got to do.
But to answer the trade question, they need to take DeAndre Ayton, trade him for like a year supply of Gatorade and chips or something. Free up some money, get the clubhouse some free snacks. Just get him out of here, man. Maybe get some
sunflower seeds.
Maybe get some new socks for the whole team.
He said trade him for a stick of bubble gum.
Get
him out of here,
ticket to China.
Man, free up that money, man. Get him out of here because we need that money to sign people. I don't think there's really no trade out there that I don't think nobody's trading for Ayton and giving you back anything amazing.
Hey, if we're
I mean,
trading people, if we're trading for people that don't play anymore, I just looked up Steve Nash's age. He's what, 49 years old. So him and Durant are the same age.
They show it. They definitely show it. Yeah, I don't see a lot of movable pieces for them, honestly. And what the worst part, like I was going to say, is the next thing we're going to see literally for the next couple of months until stuff starts moving is, DeAndre Ayton for Kyrie coming to Phoenix, and that's a pipe dream. That's a pipe dream.
Luka Garza, this guy is bringing back Iowa legends. Don't think I don't know who Luka Garza is, Adam.
Right,
my guy. I made thousands and thousands of dollars betting on Luka Garza when he was at Iowa, baby. That boy is a beast. I will say one thing about Luka Garza: his game does not translate to the NBA. That's why nobody on this podcast can tell you what team Luka Garza plays for right now.
The Orlando Magic.
Timberwolves.
No, I said play for, not on contract for. You seen him in the game ever in your life?
Oh.
In the NBA uniform?
Oh man, the right answer was the bench. The right answer was the bench. Dang
it.
No, I mean I love Luka Garza, but he's not NBA talent. He doesn't have the footwork on defense to stay in front of anybody. He's a great college kid, great guy. I'm sure he's a great person, but offensively and defensively, he's about 2 steps too slow for the NBA level. Pretty much what happened to me. You get to that level and you're 2 steps too slow.
All right, who do you guys think that watch this?
Look at Chris Paul in the back. He said, "Damn."
They just all had shirts on that said "Damn." That's
Chris Paul.
Chris Paul said, "I'm retiring, bro."
Chris Paul saying "Damn," and DeAndre Ayton saying "Damn."
Nah, that boy DeAndre don't even care, bro. That's his problem.
No, yeah. Chris Paul saying "Damn" and Ayton just like, yeah.
I wish I had some chicken fingers right now.
I wonder if I hit my travel agent up right now, could she get me a trip to Cancun?
Cancun
as soon as I leave here. If I skip out.
That was I'm trying to get on this plane.
Adam, you might know something with that, and a lot of people would probably burn you alive and sacrifice you for that. But you know something. Now the money may not add up, but you know something. As far as that goes, that's all I'm saying on that. That would be good. I like Reed. Reed is dope. Who do you think wins the title now?
I think it's whoever come out the West, bro. The East soft this year.
Yeah, I don't think be it the Nuggets, be it the Sixers, the Celtics, the Heat, because those are the 3. Well, no, the Knicks are left kind of, but
yeah, don't disrespect my Knicks now, bro.
I forgot.
I ain't say nothing about your Celtics, man.
Hey, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. But no, I think it's the Nuggets. I think it's the Nuggets. Yeah. I don't think it matters if they face the Lakers, the Warriors next. They got it. They're just too good. Too good. But to answer about upcoming free agents, just to name the premier players, I guess, Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Chris Middleton, Kyrie Irving, Kristaps Porzingis, D'Angelo Russell, Kevin Love, Rowan's favorite player, Nikola Vucevic, Draymond Green, and Fred VanVleet are some of the names that are.
Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown's on for 1 more year. Don't ever throw a Boston player name. Don't ever do that. He's locked up for 1 more year.
Hey man,
is okay.
I don't want to get rid of him, bro.
If somehow the Suns could pull off Vucevic and Fred VanVleet, bro, I swear to God, swear for God, you can take everything I said tonight and slap me for every sentence. That'd be a hell of a move in the offseason, man. But you gotta get both of them.
Get some decent scoring because there's other guys that are on here like Gary Trent Jr., Will Barton, Jeremy Grant. But once again, it comes down to these are some guys that are probably going to ask for a little bit more than what the Suns can fork over. Can you make it work? Will they take the cut? That's what I keep saying. So, yeah, literally, they don't have the space to make it work. That's the thing. Everybody has this roster in their mind that they think is going to walk into the footprint arena next year, and it ain't going to be that. Not unless I don't know. There's no cap space. There's no cap. The cap space is gone. You signed Ayton to a ridiculous extension. Durant is locked up for the next 4 years. The only reasonable weight on y'all books right now is Booker. It's done. You can offload all of, literally, if you offload Biyombo, Damian Lee, Josh Okogie, TJ Warren, Jock Landale, Terrence Ross, you haven't even accumulated as much as Landry Shamet makes. Well, maybe right around a little bit more than what Landry Shamet makes. That's not knocking any weight off. Your cap space is depleted. Yeah, a lot of people want to see Van Vliet with the Suns, but that asking price, bro. That asking price is ridiculously crazy. You get rid of Chris Paul, probably open up a little bit of doors, but yeah, he's gonna want a lot. So, and I think acquiring Durant kind of made that a little bit difficult. So, I don't know. Kind of like that thing just said, you can only do so much with the cap space. Cap space is the cap space, and y'all are well over that. So,
Chris, how would you feel if the Suns somehow got Kyrie Irving and had a core of Kyrie Irving, KD, and Booker, and then whoever else? And that's how it would happen.
Brooklyn Nets 2.0.
31 and 51.
Yeah, Brooklyn Nets 2.0. You just replacing Harden with Booker. And I mean, for all intents and purposes, Booker is better, but as beautifully magical as Kyrie and Durant sound, they do not work together. Does not. I mean, if you add Booker in there, you're probably gonna make him turn toxic. Booker, a good dude. Like they just gonna bring all that toxic couple energy into this good fun house party, and now everybody wants to leave. And now Phoenix is back in the ground again, basically.
No, that's what sucks, bro. The more we talk about it, the more I realize I really am right. This team is F for the next 10 years.
Rowan just had like a revelation and said, like, you know what? Yeah, they're done.
You said the word. Hey, you said the buzzword. You said toxic, and he's like, "Oh wait, that's me. I'm right."
No, I'm far from toxic. I'm a basketball guy. I'm a realist. Kidding. Oh yeah, no, I'm just saying. I don't take nothing offensively. It's a sad situation, man. Because coming into this season, they had such a young core, and they had a future. They had draft picks. They had a core. You could trade Ayton and get something else. They had so many options, and now they just got what feels like no options. And the answer everybody's saying is fire Monty, and it's like,
yeah, much like Adam said, Kyrie wouldn't lead a team to a championship. He's had that option multiple times. He had it with, LeBron in Cleveland, able to make it happen. Went to Boston to be your own man, didn't work. Went to Brooklyn, team up with Durant, didn't work. Got Harden, didn't work. And, injuries, albeit for Durant and stuff of that sort, but it wasn't going to work. It wasn't going to work. It just feels like no matter how good Kyrie and Durant were doing, they were destined for that toxicness to just come on back in. It was like, your girl checking your phone and you walk back in, she's like, so I saw your phone. And you're like, oh boy, here we go again. We were doing good. We were 3 months strong. And now we're back in and say that was Durant and Kyrie. It was like, oh, they're unstoppable. And then Kyrie has a, public charade that he does. And now it affects the team. And now you're affecting Booker. And it's not worth it. It's not worth it. They just need somebody consistently available that can score, that can facilitate, that can defend. So, yeah, Ron, if you want to handle that one, because that has came up a lot. I'm sorry. That's came up a lot.
As much as you want to hate on Wichita State's finest, Landry Shamet, the kid had the most effort and heart tonight in the Suns uniform.
Campaign.
The kid won y'all a game 2 nights ago in Phoenix by hitting 4 or 5 threes in a row to open the fourth quarter, to push the lead to 10 when y'all was teeter-tatting up by 1, down by 3. Shamet came in, splash, splash, lace, lace, up 10. Shamet's not the problem, bro. Monty Williams ain't the problem. The problem is once you get past Booker and Durant, Shamet's your go-to guy. That's the problem.
He's cooking. That guy's cooking.
Yeah, this has been brought up a lot too about Monty and DA's past relationship. Like, what do you think that there's been like a I don't know tension between the two? Since
Nope.
I wouldn't
I
call
feel
it
like
tension.
Ayton has tension with everybody, so I don't even direct it towards Monty. We saw him getting into it, well, ignoring Chris Paul on the sidelines,
Yeah.
trying to give him words of encouragement. Durant and Booker come over to him during a, break in the game, saying, hey, you missed this read. Now I forget that. Oh, boom. It's everybody. He treats everybody like that. As much as he talks about how he doesn't understand why people are coming at him about intensity and passion, he pulls stuff like that in the same scenario in the playoffs under the bright lights. So no, I don't think it's a Monty thing. I think it's an everybody thing. If he goes to another team with another coach, it's going to be the same thing. That's his motor. That's who he is. So, like I said, at this point, for me, with Ayton, you either love him or you hate him. That's it. He's
And if
not
you
going to
love
be
him,
he's not going to put up, DeAndre Ayton, Giannis numbers like people want him to, scoring 30 and grabbing 20. He's not going to do that. Not on a consistent basis, at least. He's who he is. That's it.
I ain't gonna lie. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, so I might say this a little ruder than I plan to. Monty Williams is a man's man. DeAndre Ayton is a female in a man's body. Soft.
Snap.
Soft. Like Eddie Murphy said, capital T on the end of that thing. Soft.
I thought he was about to pull up a tweet like that just says DeAndre Ayton soft. I was like, the timing was perfect.
I'm sure I've tweeted it.
who do you think?
There's plenty of Ayton soft tweets. Probably we could find like 1 million of them by now. I mean,
and it's not his fault. That's just who he is. People, it sucks when people want you to be something you're not. It's like asking a kitty cat to go in the jungle and be a lion.
Me and
right?
Rowan came to that conclusion this season, and people think it's funny, but it's the truth. He is who he is. I can't be mad at him. Like that's just who he is. Some fans spend more energy on him wanting to be what they want him to be than Ayton cares to even give out for him. He does not care. That's just who he is. You got who you got.
I think his parents let him get away with too much, bro, because he has no accountability for his actions. Even in college, bro, at the University of Arizona, he was soft. I don't know why the Suns picked him first overall. I don't know why the Suns even drafted him. I don't even know how he was top 20 pick, much less the first pick overall, especially with all the players that got picked behind him. But that's not the hero there. That was 5-6 years ago. They picked him first overall. They've given him 5 or 6 seasons to show us who he is. Every single season, night in and night out, he shows up and he does baby hooks and he doesn't box out and he doesn't care. And he goes home and he comes back the next day with the same attitude. It hasn't changed. It's not going to change. Yeah.
Are you trying to get Franklin in here? If you bring Ayton up too much, I don't know if you saying his spell to make him appear. Yeah. Did you summon me?
Franklin's watching. Franklin's watching.
Yeah.
All right. Whoa.
I heard the baby criticism.
He's trying to summon him. You say Ayton in the mirror 3 times.
Man. Franklin is one of the most amazing guys I ever met. We just like to give him a hard time because he tries to have Ayton's back when we've given up on him. We've thrown in
and
the
thing
towel.
Is, people are gonna, if we don't trade Ayton, people are gonna hype up. Oh, Ayton's gonna go into the off season, work on his post, strength and conditioning, get more physical. No, he's not. He's gonna. If we keep him, he's gonna do the same baby hook, same cluelessness, same functionality on offense and defense.
Let me ask you a question, just off the top of your head. Picture DeAndre Ayton dunking the basketball. You got to make it up. You can't even remember when he ever really did it.
It's rare. And you would think when he sees how it affects the team, how it affects the arena, when he does, finish with some dominance, you'd be like, dang, let me do that some more. No. I did one, back to the baby hook.
He has the ability.
Mid-range hook shot.
Has the God-given talent, has the size, has the ability. He just, for some reason, hasn't wrapped his head around the fact that I can score 30 points and get 20 rebounds every few nights, and I can't average 25 and 12 on a nightly basis. Like, for some reason, he just hasn't really figured that out yet.
And he can do it with Durant. Like, if you're watching these games, Ayton can be more effective with Durant. He's just not. That's why when that happened, I said it doesn't matter what team he's on. He's gonna be that same person. He could be the number one option, and he may give you 23, 25 a night, and maybe 11, 12. But if he's on a team that actually wants to win a championship with no, he's not gonna do that.
Dinner time. I ain't gonna lie, bro. I gotta get up in 2 hours, dog. I don't know what y'all got going with y'all Friday. If y'all ain't got no jobs or something, but
I gotta get up too. But it's been a day, man.
Yeah, I gotta be on a flight. I gotta be at the airport at 6 a.m. down here in Arizona. So I got a flight to Denver tomorrow.
Damn.
All right, what give you guys final thoughts?
Sadness.
Everything we just said times 2.
Like Roman said, F for the season. They were not supposed to lose in the second round. They lost in the second round at home. Bust game from Durant, bust game from Booker, even though it was rightly, due because he did everything. So once again, the epitome of this season is we started it with Booker doing everything. We ended it with Booker doing everything. In the middle of that, we got Durant. How did we end? How we started? That's for James Jones and the ownership to decide. So we'll see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the playoffs turn out. But as for the Suns, they're no more.
Until next season, when we get our homes up again.
That boy said it like E40. They are no longer. I got you, Chris. Just for you, baby. Yeah.
Oh, shit, I don't got any.
Cancun on 3.
1, 2, 3. All right, y'all. I don't know who's running this, but this Burn City Sports Feel the Burn podcast. Hottest takes on all Phoenix sports. Thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for listening. I ain't gonna lie, I might just get up and walk off. I don't know what's happening, but I will holler at y'all boys. And I appreciate y'all for watching. Tune in tomorrow to all of our shows, all of our articles, burncity.com.